from the Ford Sports Desk, KOMU 8 Sports.
We are the Tigers in good position. A big title this year's mission. Young and hungry, we will not fail. So we can keep around our Tiger tail. Oh, 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 give you
How about that for some nostalgia? 30 years ago, Norm Stewart's Cats from Old Mizzou were on their way to a 24-10 record in a Big 8 championship. Fast forward to now, where the Tigers need to win out just to get to 10 wins. St. Louis Blues entered today as one of the hottest teams in hockey over the last 10 games. They compiled 15 points in that stretch and sat only 2 points behind Chicago for first place in the West coming into tonight. However, they had to go on the road, which has been a challenge for the team so far this year. They're just 4-7-1 away from Scottrade on the season. Former Wild head coach and future Blues head coach Mike Yeo back in Minnesota tonight on the Blues bench. First things first, let's get to a fight. Blues enforcer Ryan Reeves gets into an early scrap with Curtis Gabriel. He's able to get in a few good rights before they're separated by the officials. Big forward, obviously one of the best scrappers in the league for the Blues. Now on to some scoring. Matt Dumba takes this pass at center ice. He glides into the Blues zone and buries it. Wild up 1-0 in the second. Then it'd be Nino Niederreiter, one of the best names in hockey for Minnesota. He scores this spin-around goal from the point. Minnesota goes up 2-0. Both those goals in the second. The Blues would try to get back. Robbie Fabry's going to make quite the nifty move here. He passes through traffic to Tarasenko, who puts it in the back of the net like he has so many times already. That cuts the lead in half, but that's as close as the Blues would get. They fall to the Wild 3-1. While the renovations may have stolen the spotlight today, Mizzou basketball hopes to steal the show tomorrow at Star Wars Night against Eastern Illinois. Well, the Tigers will get some help from a new hope. Jordan Barnett will take the court at Mizzou Arena as an eligible player for the first time since he was just a Padawan at CBC. Barnett will hope to take the dark side out of Mizzou's game on both ends of the court. Missouri let Arizona go rogue from 3 last game. The Tigers themselves have just a solo player averaging 13 points a contest. Mizzou will hope to force their way to a win with just 3 games left until the return to the SEC. You could call Mizzou football the Charlie Brown of the SEC. While all the other teams are out getting candy for Halloween, Missouri's been stuck getting rocks, 4 of them in a row to be exact. During that 4-game winless streak, the Tigers have been losing by an average of around 23 points a game and are still searching for that first SEC win under Barry Odom. The Norm Stewart Classic at Columbia College wrapped up today after 48 straight hours of high school basketball, featuring teams from all across the state. This afternoon, the Rockbridge Bruins face the CBC Cadets in the final game of the event. Bruins ranked number 2 in Class 5 by NBCA, CBC ranked 6th. High-paced first half between these two. Cale Catchings drives in, gets the floater to go for CBC. Isaiah Mosley with the big 3 in the second quarter for Rockbridge. He had 18 points, 10 rebounds. CBC goes into locker room with a 34-31 lead. Cadets took control in the second half with Catchings leading the way. Slam dunk there on the fast break. Then an easy jump shot here in the lane from down low. He's your game MVP with 22 points. Bruins fall to the Cadets 60-53. Now, it's often said that sports and politics don't mix, but on this inauguration day, we're going to try to make that happen in a fun way. What do you think a presidential cabinet of current Mizzou athletes would look like? With an abundance of leaders in all Missouri sports, it wasn't hard to find athletes to hold certain offices. For some, the fit was almost too perfect. First up, point guard Terrence Phillips as the Secretary of Education. You don't find an athlete with more school spirit than the sophomore guard. Phillips was also recently chosen as Mizzou's representative to the SEC Basketball Leadership Committee. The pick for Secretary of Transportation, how about the man who ran for more yards in the season than any other freshman in Mizzou football history? Demarie Crockett was a freight train for the Tigers this past season, totaling 10 touchdowns and over 1,000 yards rushing. Mizzou volleyball spark plug Carly Kahn is the pick for Secretary of Energy. Kahn's energetic and enthusiastic nature on the court helped her become one of the best players in Missouri volleyball history. Kahn is in Missouri's career top 10 in kills, points, attacks, and digs. Missouri football's Charles Harris gets the call as Secretary of Defense. With 18 sacks in his career, the NFL-bound defensive end is tied for 7th all-time among Tigers. Harris is the most recent highly touted draft prospect from Mizzou's D-line zoo. He'll look to follow the lead of other Tiger standouts Marcus Golden, Shane Ray, and Sheldon Richardson. Sophie Cunningham is the pick for Secretary of State. This sophomore guard's infectious personality and fiery temperament on the court would make her perfect for negotiations with other countries. As the 2015 SEC Freshman of the Year, Cunningham is hoping to lead Mizzou to even greater heights. She had her highest scoring game of the year last night with 36 points in an overtime win over Texas A&M. While he may have missed much of this past season with an injury, the always well-spoken Mike Scheer is the selection for vice president. Scheer developed into one of Mizzou football's greatest leaders over the last 4 years and amassed 266 tackles in his esteemed career. The St. Louis native is working back from his knee injury to be ready for Mizzou's NFL Pro Day in March. And, of course, your Mizzou athlete president is none other than J'den Cox. The two-time NCAA champion and 2016 Olympic bronze medalist is a man of many talents. Also a singer and guitarist, the well-spoken senior would likely have the highest approval ratings of any possible candidate Mizzou athletics could offer. On the mat, Cox is currently undefeated at 15-0 this season. Well, although Halloween isn't until Monday, the recent performances from the Missouri football team may have already given the Tiger fan base enough scares for an entire season. By the end of Super Bowl 51 on Sunday, another former Missouri Tiger could add his name to a unique list. While Sean Weatherspoon may not be able to play due to an injury, with a win, the current Falcon and former Mizzou linebacker could become one of less than 15 players from Old Mizzou to take home a ring. Shane Ray may have taken home the hardware last year with the Broncos, but it was Coney Ealy, his former teammate, who stole the show for the Panthers. Ealy tied a Super Bowl record with 3 sacks on Peyton Manning. He also added a forced fumble and an interception for good measure. However, the most famous play by a Missouri Tiger in the Super Bowl is also one of the most famous plays in football history. Mike Jones' tackle on Kevin Dyson at the goal line as time expired in Super Bowl 34 gave St. Louis its first and only Super Bowl victory. Ray and Jones are just 2 notable Tigers with rings. There's linebacker Andy Russell, who has 2 with the Steelers, cornerback Eric Wright, who has 4 titles during his time with those great 49ers teams of the 80s, and nose tackle Jerome Salley with the Giants in 1987. Tonight, the games start to count for Kim Anderson and the Missouri men's basketball team. After narrowly escaping Central Missouri last week in an exhibition, the Tigers opened up their season at Mizzou Arena this evening against Alabama A&M from the Southwestern Athletic Conference. Mizzou would get the scoring started in this one. Terrence Phillips is going to find Cullen Van Leer, who sinks this 3. Tigers up 3-0 early. Then it's the 2 freshmen, Frankie Hughes and Willie Jackson, on the break. They're going to have some fun here. Here's an alley-oop. Hughes to Jackson. Mizzou up 38-10 at this point. That's the freshman. Here's the only senior for Mizzou, Russell Woods. He's going to get an and one here down in the post. Tigers up 30 on Alabama A&M. It was a blowout, folks. And then in the second, it's another youngster, Mitchell Smith. He finishes with some contact on the break. The bench is fired up. Mizzou goes on to win 99-44. Hughes and Jackson were the story tonight. St. Louis Cardinals also making some moves. They made their biggest splash of the hot stove season today after it was reported last night that free agent outfielder Dexter Fowler was on his way to St. Louis for a physical. The Cards made it official today. Fowler's contract with the Cardinals is reported to be for 5 years and $82.5 million. This makes Fowler the team's second highest paid player behind Adam Wainwright. Fowler is a career .268 hitter and was a first-time All-Star last year for the world champion Chicago Cubs. You may be surprised to see this image behind me, but yeah, we're going to talk about that football team that used to be in St. Louis. While some guy who has one of his many houses right here in this very town decided to take the team west, the California sun has only intensified the spotlight on the Rams. The team came in today just 4-7, and it came out today that Jeff Fisher has received a 2-year contract extension. Yeah, that's the same Jeff Fisher who is closing in on becoming the losingest coach in NFL history. Fisher in Foxborough trying to get a win and avoid having a non-winning record in 7 straight seasons. Didn't go well. Right off the bat, LeGarrette Blount puts a dent in that notion. He scores from 43 out to make it 7-0 Patriots. Then some offensive problems for #1 overall pick Jared Goff in this one. This pass is going to bounce off Lance Kendricks and into the hands of Super Bowl hero Malcolm Butler. Goff's first pick of the day, and then here in the third, Goff gets hit as he throws. It results in a wobbly pass. This one's going to be intercepted as well by Kyle Van Noy of New England. Patriots would go on to win 26-10. That loss secures another non-winning season for Fisher, who owns that distinction in 15 of his 21 full seasons as an NFL head coach. It's safe to say it's been anything but calm and sunny for the second incarnation of the Los Angeles Rams. That's sports.